The massive alien vessel appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's deep space monitoring station showed nothing unusual. The next, alarms blared across every military and scientific installation on the planet. The ship, if it could be called something so mundane, materialized between Earth and Mars, a dark silhouette against the red planet. Captain James Miller was enjoying his first cup of coffee on the observation deck of Lunar Base Alpha when the emergency alert sounded. His scarred hand nearly crushed the ceramic mug as he watched the main screen light up with incoming data. "What is that thing?" he asked, setting down his coffee and moving closer to the display. Lieutenant Roberts, the communications officer, looked up with wide eyes. "Unknown, sir. It's big. Really big. Nearly 15 kilometers long according to initial scans." Miller's jaw tightened. He had survived the Mars colonies war 5 years ago by trusting his instincts, and right now, every nerve in his body was on high alert. Battle stations. Alert Earth Command immediately. Within hours, humanity's unified defense forces were mobilized. Orbital platforms swiveled their weapons toward the alien vessel. Colony bases on Mars and the Moon locked down. On Earth, people gathered around screens in homes and public squares, fear and wonder mixing in equal measure as news networks broadcast the first grainy images of the mysterious visitor. But the alien ship made no aggressive moves. It simply hung in space, its dark hull absorbing sunlight rather than reflecting it. Scans revealed little. Some kind of advanced material that deflected most sensor readings. 3 days after its arrival, the ship finally broke its silence. "People of Earth," came the transmission, broadcast simultaneously in every major language across all communication channels. "We are the guardians, observers and protectors of galactic order. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations with your world." The voice was eerily smooth, almost musical, yet utterly inhuman. World leaders gathered in emergency session at the United Nations. The debate was heated. Some advocated immediate military response, others cautious engagement. In the end, diplomacy won out. A team was assembled. Politicians, scientists, and military personnel who would represent Earth in this historic first contact. Captain Miller was surprised to find his name on the list. "Your experience with the Mars conflict makes you valuable," General Thompson told him during the briefing. "You've seen combat, but you've also shown judgment. We need that balance." Miller nodded, though privately he wondered if his selection had more to do with being expendable than experienced. The diplomatic team departed Earth aboard a shuttle 2 days later. As they approached the alien vessel, Miller studied its surface through the viewport. Up close, the ship's hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, yet maintain its form. There were no visible seams, no signs of construction. The entire massive structure appeared to be one continuous piece. A section of the hull simply disappeared, revealing an opening large enough for their shuttle to enter. Inside was a cavernous docking bay that could have housed a small fleet. "Remember," said Ambassador Wilson, the team's leader, "we represent all of humanity now. The fate of our species may depend on what happens here." As they disembarked, 3 figures approached. They walked on 2 legs and had 2 arms, but that's where the similarity to humans ended. Their bodies were tall and slender, with iridescent skin that changed color slightly as they moved. Their faces had no nose, just breathing slits, and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "Welcome," said the central figure, its mouth not moving as the words seemed to form directly in the humans' minds. "I am Keeper, representative of the Guardian Collective. We have watched your civilization for centuries. The time has come to formally acknowledge your potential place among the stars." Miller felt a chill run down his spine. Something in the alien's tone suggested this wasn't just a friendly visit. "We represent 30 advanced species who maintain peace throughout this sector of the galaxy," Keeper continued, "and we have an offer for humanity." The meeting chamber inside the Guardian vessel defied human understanding. The walls seemed both solid and flowing, with colors that shifted subtly as if responding to the emotions in the room. The human delegation sat at a circular table that had simply grown from the floor when they entered. Captain Miller studied the three guardians seated across from them. Besides Keeper, there were two others. One introduced as Sentinel, with darker skin patterns, and another called Watcher, whose four eyes never seemed to blink. "We have monitored Earth's development with great interest," Keeper began, its voice still bypassing their ears and forming directly in their minds. "Your species has remarkable potential." Ambassador Wilson nodded politely. "We appreciate your interest in humanity. May I ask why you've chosen this moment to reveal yourselves?" Sentinel leaned forward. "Your technological advancement has reached a critical threshold. Your experiments with faster-than-light travel have not gone unnoticed." Miller exchanged glances with Dr. Anna Lee, the team's chief scientist. Their prototype FTL drive was supposed to be Earth's most closely guarded secret. "We come with an offer," Keeper continued, spreading its long fingers on the table. "The Guardian Collective maintains peace across 3 spiral arms of this galaxy. We prevent conflicts, manage resources, and protect developing worlds from greater threats." A holographic display appeared above the table, showing star systems and planets that no human had ever seen. "We offer humanity protection and limited access to our medical technology. Your diseases could be eliminated. Your lifespans doubled." Wilson's expression remained neutral, though Miller could see hope flickering in the eyes of some delegation members. "And what would you ask in return for these gifts?" "Simple boundaries," Watcher spoke for the first time, its mental voice harsher than Keeper's. "Humanity would agree to limit certain technologies, particularly weapons and faster-than-light travel. You would remain within your solar system as you continue to mature as a species." The room fell silent. Miller felt his jaw tighten. "You're asking us to cage ourselves," he said before he could stop himself. Ambassador Wilson shot him a warning look, but Keeper merely tilted its head. "We prefer to think of it as a nurturing boundary, like parents setting rules for children too young to understand certain dangers." The meeting continued for hours as the details of the peace offer were laid out. The human delegation asked questions, received vague answers, and requested time to consider. Finally, they were escorted back to their shuttle to return to Earth and report. As they departed, Miller hung back, pretending to admire the alien architecture. A movement caught his eye. Sentinel, watching him from a shadowed corridor. The Guardian beckoned slightly. Miller hesitated, then followed. "Your species is different," Sentinel said quietly once they were alone. "I study your history. Humans react unpredictably when cornered. Is that what you're doing? Cornering us?" Sentinel's skin rippled with colors Miller couldn't name. "Not all Guardians agree with this approach. Some of us believe true peace comes from cooperation, not control." Before Miller could respond, Sentinel touched a panel on the wall. A holographic display showed dozens of alien worlds, each with notations in Guardian script. "These civilizations all received similar offers," Sentinel said. "All accepted. Some thrived within their boundaries. Others stagnated. Why tell me this? Because I've seen your world's determination, your adaptability. If any species might choose a different path." Sentinel trailed off as footsteps approached. "Consider carefully what accepting our terms would mean for humanity's future." Back on Earth, the delegation's report sparked fierce debate. In secure rooms beneath the United Nations building, Earth's leaders argued well into the night. "It's subjugation, dressed up as protection," Miller insisted during his testimony. Dr. Lee presented her analysis. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours, but not infallible. I noticed inconsistencies in their demonstrations, weaknesses they try to hide." Ambassador Wilson summed up the dilemma facing humanity. "We must decide if the safety they offer is worth the freedom we'd surrender." As the debate raged, Miller received an encrypted message from an unknown source. Opening it revealed Guardian records, evidence that their peace offers served primarily to neutralize civilizations The collective deemed potential rivals. The path forward was becoming clearer. Humanity had never been good at accepting limits. Captain Miller stared at the encrypted data glowing on his secure tablet. The Guardian records painted a disturbing picture. 37 civilizations had received peace offers similar to Earth's. All had accepted. All remained confined to their home systems, developing only along paths the Guardians permitted. "We need to dig deeper," he told Dr. Lee as they met in her underground laboratory. The room was swept for surveillance devices hourly, one of many precautions implemented since the Guardian arrival. Dr. Lee nodded, her fingers flying across multiple screens. "I've been analyzing the medical technology samples they provided. It's advanced, certainly, but deliberately limited." "Limited how?" "It's like giving a child safety scissors instead of a real knife." She pulled up comparison diagrams. "They've removed components, simplified others. This isn't their real technology. It's a watered-down version." Miller frowned. "They don't trust us with the real thing." "Would you?" she asked with a tired smile. "We're not exactly known for our restraint." Their conversation was interrupted when General Thompson entered, face grim. "You need to see this." He placed a small device on the table that projected a three-dimensional recording. It showed two Guardians, Keeper and another they hadn't met, speaking in what they thought was private. "How did you get this?" Miller asked. "The small drones we deployed during the tour of their ship. Most were detected and destroyed, but this one remained hidden long enough." The recording had no sound, but thanks to Earth's best linguists and AI translation systems, subtitles appeared beneath the aliens. "Humanity represents a potential threat to galactic order unlike any we've encountered," Keeper was saying. "Their technological growth rate exceeds predictions. Their history indicates they will not accept limitations easily." The unknown Guardian responded, "Then why offer terms at all? The directive would authorize immediate containment. The Council prefers consensus when possible, and complete containment would require resources currently deployed elsewhere. If they accept our terms, we can manage their development with minimal oversight." The recording ended there. "So that's it," Miller said quietly. "We're too unpredictable, too potentially dangerous. This isn't protection, it's prevention." For the next week, Earth's best minds worked tirelessly. Military analysts studied footage of Guardian ships, identifying possible weaknesses in their defenses. Scientists reverse-engineered samples of Guardian technology, discovering principles that could be adapted to human systems. Dr. Lee made perhaps the most disturbing discovery of all. Working with data retrieved from the Guardian vessel, she uncovered evidence of long-term manipulation. "They've been here before," she explained to the Emergency Council of World Leaders. "Multiple times over our history. Look at these energy signatures. They match unexplained phenomena recorded in our past." She displayed a timeline showing correlations between Guardian visits and sudden technological leaps or inexplicable setbacks in human history. "They've been subtly guiding our development, encouraging some technologies while hindering others. The nuclear age almost didn't happen. There were mysterious failures in early research that nearly derailed the whole field." President Reyes of the United Earth Alliance leaned forward. "You're saying they've been manipulating us for centuries?" "Millennia, more likely," Dr. Lee replied. "Always careful to stay hidden, but nudging us in directions they preferred." Miller stood up. "And now we've developed too quickly in ways they didn't expect. Their subtle approach failed, so they're trying direct intervention." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "If we reject their offer," General Thompson finally said, "they'll likely respond with force." "And if we accept," Miller countered, "we submit to permanent limitation. We surrender humanity's future to alien oversight." President Reyes looked around the table at Earth's assembled leaders. "Then we must prepare for both possibilities." Her expression hardened with determination. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before: ice ages, plagues, our own nuclear weapons. We survived those by adapting, by finding new paths forward. She stood, her decision made. ready our defenses. But most importantly, prepare our response. The Guardians need to understand exactly who they're dealing with. As the meeting adjourned, Miller received another encrypted message. The Guardians are divided. Not all support this approach. Prepare carefully. 2 weeks after the Guardians' arrival, Earth was ready to give its answer. The response would be broadcast from the United Nations headquarters in New York, transmitted simultaneously to the Guardian vessel and to every screen on Earth and its colonies. Captain Miller stood behind Ambassador Wilson in the preparation room, watching technicians make final adjustments to the broadcast equipment. "Are you sure about this?" Miller asked quietly. Wilson straightened his tie, his face betraying no emotion. The vote was nearly unanimous. All but 3 nations agreed. "I meant our you sure. You'll be the face of this decision. History will remember your words." Wilson finally smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. "I volunteered, James. Someone needs to tell them no, and I've had practice disappointing powerful entities. I once turned down the head of the World Bank at a dinner party." The poor joke did little to ease the tension, but Miller appreciated the attempt. General Thompson approached them, tablet in hand. "Orbital defense platforms are at full readiness. Mars and lunar colonies have activated their shield systems. If the Guardians react badly, we'll be as ready as we can be." Wilson finished for him. A young technician approached. "Sir, we're ready to begin. The Guardian vessel has acknowledged the transmission request." Wilson took a deep breath and walked to the simple podium. The room fell silent as red lights on cameras blinked on. "People of Earth and honored representatives of the Guardian Collective," Wilson began, his voice clear and steady. "For 2 weeks, humanity has considered your generous offer of protection and technological exchange. On screens around the world, humans watched, many holding their breath. Inside the Guardian vessel, Keeper and the other representatives waited, 4-eyed gazes fixed on their own viewing screens. Throughout our history, humanity has faced countless challenges. We have survived ice ages with stone tools. We have crossed vast oceans on wooden ships. We have overcome plagues, wars, and environmental disasters of our own making." Wilson paused, his expression solemn. "Each time, we have emerged stronger not because we were protected from these challenges, but because we faced them. We adapted. We grew." Miller watched Guardian reactions on a secondary screen. Keeper remained still, but the others shifted, colors rippling across their skin. "After careful consideration of your terms, humanity has reached its decision." Wilson stood straighter, his voice taking on a new power. "We must respectfully decline." The words hung in the air like thunder before a storm. "We cannot and will not accept limitations on our technological development or restrictions that would confine us to our solar system. We will not trade our future for your protection." Murmurs spread through the watching Guardian delegation. "This is not a decision made in ignorance or arrogance. We recognize the dangers of unrestrained advancement. We have nearly destroyed ourselves more than once, but the solution is not external constraint. It is internal wisdom." Wilson's voice grew stronger with each word. "Humanity chooses freedom with all its risks over safety with all its limitations. We choose to face the universe on our terms, to learn its lessons directly, and to find our own path among the stars." On screens across Earth, people began to stand. Some cheered. Others remained silent, but stood nonetheless in solidarity with the decision. "We hope this choice does not make us enemies. We remain open to true cooperation, a partnership of equals rather than a relationship of guardian and ward. But know this, humanity will defend its right to determine its own destiny." As Wilson finished speaking, the Guardian transmission cut off abruptly. Miller's communication device buzzed with an urgent message. "Multiple Guardian vessels have entered orbit. Defensive positions around all major cities. They're deploying." The Freedom War had begun. Within minutes, the first attacks targeted Earth's orbital defense platforms. Beams of energy unlike anything humans had seen before sliced through the outer defensive line. But humanity wasn't caught unprepared. Hidden defense systems, developed in secret during the 2-week deliberation period, activated in response. As alerts sounded throughout Earth's cities, Wilson's words echoed in homes and shelters. "We will not trade our future for your protection." The phrase became an instant rallying cry as humanity prepared to fight for its right to forge its own path among the stars. The first 3 days of the Guardian assault seemed to confirm humanity's worst fears. Their weapons cut through Earth's conventional defenses like paper. Orbital platforms fell silent one by one. Communication satellites blinked out of existence. The lunar colony's main dome suffered a partial breach, forcing emergency evacuation to the subsurface levels. But on the 4th day, everything changed. Captain Miller stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiance, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. Until a week ago, the Defiance had remained hidden in an underwater construction facility in the Mariana Trench. Its very existence known only to a handful of military leaders. "All systems ready, Captain," Lieutenant Roberts reported. "Adaptive shields at full capacity. Phase shift engines online." Miller nodded. "Begin ascent. Maintain stealth protocols until we reach the stratosphere." The massive ship rose from the ocean depths, water cascading from its gleaming hull. It looked nothing like conventional human vessels. Its design incorporated principles reverse-engineered from Guardian technology, but reimagined in ways the aliens had never considered. Across Earth, similar scenes unfolded as humanity unveiled weapons and technology they had been developing in secret. In orbit around Mars, stealth platforms activated gravity disruption fields. Beneath the lunar surface, enormous cannons emerged from hidden bunkers. Guardian vessels detected. The tactical officer announced. 3 capital ships directly above Beijing. 2 more approaching North America. Miller studied the tactical display. "They still don't know we're here." "Perfect." He turned to communications. "Signal the fleet. Operation Thunderbolt commences in 3 minutes." Simultaneously, across the solar system, humanity launched its counterattack. The Defiance broke through the cloud cover, its adaptive shields bending light around the hull to maintain invisibility. The massive Guardian vessel loomed ahead, its attention focused on deploying smaller attack craft toward Earth's surface. "They're targeting civilian centers," Roberts said grimly. Miller's jaw tightened. "Not for long." "Weapon status." "Quantum disruptors charged and ready. Target their propulsion systems and fire." The Defiance's main weapons fired, not conventional energy beams, but concentrated bursts that momentarily altered the quantum state of whatever they touched. The Guardian ship's engines flickered and failed as their molecular structure temporarily changed state. "Direct hit," the tactical officer shouted. "Their engines are offline." Similar reports came in from around the globe as humanity's hidden fleet revealed itself. Guardian vessels, caught by surprise, found themselves suddenly facing weapons designed specifically to counter their technology. In orbit around Mars, Dr. Lee activated the final stage of her plan. From her command center inside Olympus Base, she initiated a system-wide broadcast on frequencies the Guardians used for internal communication. To all species under Guardian control, her message began. "We are humanity from the planet Earth. We have discovered the truth about Guardian manipulation." The broadcast included proof. The very Guardian records that had been leaked to Earth, showing centuries of intervention, subjugation, and control across dozens of worlds. "The Guardians fear us not because we are dangerous, but because we represent the freedom they have denied you. They are not all-powerful. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for all who wish to determine their own destiny." The effect was almost immediate. Several Guardian vessels suddenly changed course, turning away from Earth targets. Confused communication chatter filled the monitoring stations as some Guardian crews apparently argued among themselves. Miller seized the opportunity. "All ships, focus fire on the Guardian flagship. Follow me in." The Defiance led the assault, diving toward the massive vessel at the center of the Guardian fleet. Using the disarray to their advantage, Earth's ships executed a daring attack plan that exploited the weaknesses Dr. Lee's team had identified. As they approached, Miller received an urgent communication. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy readings from inside the flagship. It appears to be fighting itself." On the flagship's bridge, Keeper faced a mutiny. Trell and other Guardian dissenters had seized control of key systems, disabling weapons and lowering shields. "You dishonor our purpose." Keeper rage. "Guardians protect the galaxy." "No," Trell countered. "We became what we once opposed. Controllers, manipulators. These humans remind us of what we were meant to be." As the Defiance approached the crippled flagship, Miller saw not victory, but opportunity. "Open a channel," he ordered. "It's time to end this war before it truly begins." Captain Miller stepped onto the Guardian flagship with a small team of soldiers and diplomats. The corridors showed signs of internal conflict, scorch marks on walls, damaged control panels, and occasional drops of an iridescent liquid that Miller assumed was Guardian blood. Trell waited for them at a junction, skin pulsing with anxious colors. "Keeper and the Loyalists are contained in the lower chambers. We control the key systems now." "How many support your position?" Miller asked, weapons still ready despite Trell's assistance. "Nearly a third of the Guardian fleet has ceased attacks on your world." Many were uncomfortable with the Council's decision. Your resistance, and your broadcast, forced many to question orders they'd never questioned before. They reached the ship's command center, a vast chamber with viewing screens showing battles still raging throughout the solar system. Guardian vessels fought each other as often as they engaged human ships. "The collective is fracturing," Trell explained. "For centuries, we've followed the directive. Protect the galaxy from species that might destabilize the order. But many of us have watched your kind with fascination. Your art, your music, your endless drive to improve. Some believe humanity represents exactly what the galaxy needs: new perspectives, new approaches." Before Miller could respond, the communication system activated. Three-dimensional images appeared of alien beings unlike any humans had seen before. They spoke in various languages, but translation systems converted their words to Earth languages. "We are the Novan Confederation," announced a crystalline being with shifting geometric patterns for a body. "For 2 centuries we have lived under Guardian restrictions. We receive your broadcast. If you fight for freedom, we stand with you." Another alien appeared, this one resembling an enormous feathered serpent. "The Surfin Unity extends greetings. We too were offered protection that became control. Our fastest ships are already en route to your system." A third, a being of swirling gas contained within an exoskeleton, joined in. "The Mist Collective acknowledges humanity's courage. We will share technological innovations the Guardians forbade us from developing." Miller exchanged astonished glances with his team. What had begun as Earth's desperate stand was rapidly becoming an interstellar alliance. Over the next 48 hours, representatives from these 3 species arrived in the solar system in ships that somehow evaded Guardian detection. Emergency meetings were held aboard the Defiance, now positioned at a neutral point between Earth and the Guardian flagship. Dr. Lee spent hours with the alien scientists, comparing notes on Guardian technology and sharing human innovations. "They've kept these species separated on purpose," she told Miller during a brief break. "Each was allowed to develop in specific areas, but never allowed to share knowledge. Together, we're filling in gaps the Guardians deliberately created." The tactical situation shifted hourly. More Guardian ships defected to Trell's faction. Others retreated to regroup. The Hardliners, led by Keeper, sent a final transmission to Earth's leaders. "This rebellion cannot succeed." Keeper's mental voice resonated with cold fury. "The Guardian Collective has maintained order for 12,000 years. We offer one final chance. Surrender immediately and accept our original terms, or face complete extinction. We can rebuild this solar system with more compliant life forms." President Race didn't even call for a vote before sending her response. Humanity does not bow to threats. We did not start this conflict, but we will finish it. As the message was sent, Miller met with the Allied representatives aboard the Guardian flagship, now under Trell's complete control. The hardliners will attack with everything they have, Trell warned. They fear this alliance above all else. If multiple species unite as equals rather than subjects, their entire system collapses. The Serpentine Serfim representative uncoiled to full height. Then we must take the fight to them. For too long, we have remained within our assigned boundaries. It is time to bring freedom to Guardian space itself. Miller looked at the unlikely allies gathered around him. Beings from worlds he'd never heard of until days ago, united by a common desire for self-determination. If we're going to do this, he said, we need a plan that combines all our strengths. The Guardians think they know humanity's capabilities. They have no idea what we can accomplish together. As the planning began, reports arrived of massive Guardian reinforcements entering the outer solar system. The final battle would soon begin, and with it, the fate of not just humanity, but dozens of subjugated civilizations would be decided. The Guardian homeworld hung like a jewel in the darkness of space, surrounded by defensive platforms and patrol ships. No enemy had ever reached this far into Guardian territory. No species had ever dared to challenge the collective at the heart of its power. Until now. The combined fleet of human and allied ships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. The Defiance led the formation, its hull now enhanced with technology from all 4 allied species. On the bridge, Captain Miller surveyed the tactical display. All ships, maintain position. Begin transmission on all Guardian frequencies. The message they broadcast was simple, a final chance for the Guardian leadership to acknowledge the right of all species to self-determination. The response came quickly, a barrage of weapons fire that illuminated the void between stars. So much for diplomacy, Miller muttered. All ships, execute Battle Plan Omega. What followed was unlike any conflict in known galactic history. The human ships displayed maneuverability that defied Guardian predictions. The Serfin vessels phased in and out of normal space, bypassing defensive lines. The Novan ships absorbed energy attacks and redirected them with doubled intensity. The Mist Collective deployed clouds of nanomachines that disabled Guardian shields through methods never before encountered. But the Guardians were not easily defeated. Their technology was the culmination of thousands of years of development. Their tactics had been perfected in hundreds of conflicts. The battle raged for hours, with losses on both sides. The turning point came when Dr. Lee, working with scientists from all allied species, activated a device that no single civilization could have created alone. It sent a pulse through subspace that temporarily disabled any technology based on certain Guardian principles. For 3 crucial minutes, the Guardian fleet hung powerless. All ships, advance, Miller ordered. The Allied fleet surged forward, breaking through the final defensive line and establishing position around the Guardian homeworld. On the planet's surface, the Guardian Council watched in disbelief as the unthinkable happened. Their perfect system, their unchallenged rule, collapsed before them. This changes nothing, the High Keeper declared as Miller and representatives from each allied species entered the council chamber. You may have won a battle, but the galaxy requires order. Without our guidance, chaos will. Spare us, Miller interrupted. We've all heard this speech before. Your order was stagnation. Your protection was control. It ends today. The dissolution of the Guardian Council took less than an hour. In its place, representatives from Earth, the 3 allied species, and the Guardian Reformers, led by Trell, established the foundation for a new interstellar alliance, one based on mutual respect and cooperation rather than hierarchy and restriction. 6 months later, Miller stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Alliance station, watching ships from dozens of worlds come and go freely. Dr. Lee joined him, datapad in hand. The technology exchange program is exceeding all expectations, she reported. 17 formerly restricted species have already made breakthroughs in fields the Guardians had blocked, and humanity's FTL drive has been improved 3 times over thanks to Novan crystallography. Miller nodded, his gaze fixed on a distant point. And the hardliners, isolated on a protected world, even they deserve the chance to learn a new way of thinking. And aide approached. Ambassador Miller, the council is ready for you. Miller smiled at the new title he still wasn't used to. Ambassador. Never thought I'd end up a diplomat. Who better? Lee asked. The man who helped humanity say no to false peace and yes to true alliance. As Miller walked to the council chamber, he passed a memorial wall displaying images from the conflict now known as the Freedom War. At the center was a quote from Ambassador Wilson's rejection speech. We will not trade our future for your protection. Beyond the station's massive windows, the first ships of the new exploration fleet prepared to journey beyond known space. Their mission was no longer constrained by Guardian boundaries or fears. They carried representatives from all allied worlds, ready to discover what lay beyond, not as conquerors or controllers, but as explorers and equals. The universe had changed forever because one species had dared to reject limitation. And in that rejection, they had not only secured their own freedom, but helped birth a new galactic order, one where potential was celebrated, not feared. As Earth faded to a tiny blue point in the distance behind one outbound ship, its captain opened a communication channel. Alliance Exploration Vessel Hope to Alliance Command. We are proceeding beyond the former boundary. The stars await.